Alberto Cutie, a one-time Catholic priest star in South Florida, finds a woman, falls in love, and now has to leave the church, says he's going to become an Episcopalian. How do you feel about that?
Has already become an Episcopalian.
How do you feel?
Joined the church already.
How do you feel?
I feel it was fast. I was really surprised at how fast it happened.
Why did it happen so fast?
I guess because he wants to get married. He wants to continue a priesthood, a ministry. And I don't want to be too skeptical about this, but he has to have a career. He has to have an income. And this is what he knows how to do. And so he's going to do priesthood just another way. But here's what bothers me about it in some sense. There are basic differences, religious tenets between, right now, the Episcopalian Church and the Catholic Church. That's why we're not one. That's why we're still working for an ecumenical solution to those differences. So how do you go from allegiance to the Pope, certain beliefs about the Eucharist, namely transubstantiation, beliefs about homosexual, gay unions, marriages, how do you just put all of that aside within a few days and then say, I'm going to fully embrace this other group, this other Christian group, and even become a priest in that denomination?
Maybe he's been thinking about it for a while.
Maybe.
And you left him no choice. Your
Who's
church.
you?
You, the Catholic Church. You cannot.
Our
the collar
Catholic
on.
Church.
Right,
Our
right.
Catholic
But you
Church.
really represent the Catholic Church. But let me ask you this: isn't Episcopalian the closest thing to Catholic? So that was the logical choice.
It may be the closest thing, but even if he had been thinking about it for a while, don't you think it would have been better, just politically, to give it a year, give it 2 years, let it settle a little, enter into a process of acclimating yourself with that church, not to take a profession of faith in another branch of Christianity so soon after just leaving being a Roman Catholic priest. I just thought it left a bad taste in my mouth. It was too quick.
And you also make the point that he had another alternative, which was to honor his vow of celibacy. And that's where most of the criticism of Cutie has come from, that he can say, I fell in love, like it's such a natural thing, but it's not natural for somebody who's made a vow to do otherwise.
Well, it may be natural, but sometimes you have to go against your natural instincts for a higher good. It's certainly natural to fall in love and to be romantically involved. All of us would love that. But if you believe that you're forsaking it for another value, and you're being able to serve in a way that you would not be able to if you were married and had kids, well then that's why you do it.
Favalora.
Bishop.
The bishop for Cutie when he was in
Miami
the
Archdiocese.
Archdiocese. So he says, he's very upset. He says, Cutie never told me he was considering joining the Episcopal Church. This is truly a setback for ecumenical relations and cooperation between us, Archbishop John Favalora. What is that about? Why is it a step back for it? What is he like? You lost one of your all-stars to the other team, so now you don't like it? Was it the Red Sox and the Yankees?
Well, first of all, I thought he overstated it a bit. I thought he was a bit bitter in his statement. He also said, this is our lost son. We have to pray he comes back to the true faith one day. And that, I think, is rather dismissive of Protestant religion, namely Episcopalians, and what they believe. They're not that different, as you say. There's some fundamental differences, but they're not that different.
Yeah, that's this kind of vestige of the days that we don't talk about too much in the Catholic Church, where we used to say that if you're not Catholic, you don't go to heaven.
Right.
I mean, that kind of thinking is not actually the most helpful.
Right, and this is the prodigal son, the lost sheep now, simply because he fell in love. I think Cutie's mistake was he should have handled this as more of a process. He should have taken some time with it. I think let the dust settle a bit and then move ahead. I just think it didn't, PR-wise, it looked really bad.
But what could he have done? What could he have done? Like, if he lets it take time, so what is he? Is he a Catholic or is he not a Catholic?
But again, he was kneeling before the bishop of the Episcopalian Church a few days after he gave his interview to CBS, saying that he wasn't really sure whether he was going to leave the church or not, and believed in celibacy still, and didn't want to become the poster child for, against celibacy. And then he's professing his faith to another religious tradition.
But what's he supposed to do if he's staying with the love of his life? He can't be a Catholic priest and do that, so it's almost like you were forcing him to make an action.
Obviously, he's been doing a lot with the love of his life, even while being a Catholic priest, so why not continue what he has been doing for another year, and then become an Episcopalian?
Because now that he's out, wouldn't you guys have to have moved in and defrocked him or something like that? Some kind of depriesting of him because he can't do both?
Well, all of his faculties would have been taken away. Yeah, he couldn't function as a Catholic priest.
But you're saying it wasn't an immediacy situation. They would have given him time.
I don't think so. I think he could have joined, the normal way, take a process by which he would join that church.
Cutie said he began to have spiritual and deep ideological struggles and has seen the ways that many of my brothers serve God as married men with the blessing of forming a family.
Now, this is interesting to me because this was a very orthodox Catholic priest, exteriorly. I remember when I had a book published without my collar, we've been talking about me not wearing a collar for this show, and I didn't have a collar on, he went on a national show and reprimanded me for not wearing a collar on the cover of this book because he said my Catholic identity was not being put forth. And what was I ashamed of being a Catholic priest?
Is celibacy that central to the faith?
Well, not to the faith, but right now, if you want to be a Roman Catholic priest, it's a requirement.
But I'm saying he could be into the orthodoxy of it, but not see this as a basic tenet of the faith, more of a construct of the man-made church for various property and holding reasons.
But if you're that orthodox, it means allegiance to the Pope, believing the Pope is the vicar of Christ, believing that the Eucharist, the real presence and transubstantiation is what we say it is, a belief about what we say about the sanctity of marriage being between a man and a woman or in the religious institution. So all of those things are orthodoxy. So you can't just pick and choose and say, well, with regard to celibacy, though, I have more leeway there.
I thought it would have been like 90-10, the public reaction to this, saying, boy, the Catholic Church needs to lighten up and let these guys get married. Look, they've lost one of their stars now. But it really wasn't. We covered it on the show. We didn't get to
Although Diane Sawyer said that.
She did. Diane definitely put forth that perspective, and it's a legitimate one. But it was more like 65, 35. I'd like to go a little higher than that, but my math won't allow it this quickly. There were a lot of people who said, hey, the rules are the rules. And, being a member of the church has its rules. He shouldn't have overstepped them, especially this way.